Uh, Welcome to the first YuZoom of the 2021-22 academic year. Glad to have you all here with us. You're going to hear some updates from a number of us over this next hour. You will be muted. If you have questions, please put those in the chat. We will have a question answer period at the end, hopefully, and at that point you can unmute to ask any questions. With that, I'm going to hand it off to Dr. Dotson.
Thank you, Jeremy. First, it's great to see everyone, albeit virtually. It is nice to get back together and to see things moving forward. It's been a really great start to the semester. We've been able to have some opportunities to see each other safely and to see students back on campus. I know it has been a little bit messy, and our M&O partners are going to be here to talk a little bit about the progress of those projects a little later in today's presentation, but nonetheless, progress is happening and it's fun to see that occurring. I mentioned at Convocation this year that I have 3 really big things that I'm focusing on. I just want to make sure everyone's had a chance to hear about that and just get a quick update about those projects. The first is that our Education Master Plan is due this year. The tri-chairs of the College Council, which oversees our planning and budget function, joined me to meet with a contractor who will help us through that process. And things went very well in that meeting. I think we will move forward with that and start laying out a plan to ensure we have opportunities for people to provide input and that we produce the best that we produce the best plan that we can. Also this year, we're really focusing on a new budget process. We have been using a rollover budget model for a very long time as an institution. One of the challenges of using that kind of a budget model is that when you have strategic initiatives or opportunities, you don't put all your resources behind it because there's frequently not resources to provide. So we are going to outline a pilot project to start coming up with a way that we will determine how we allocate funds as an institution moving forward. And so we have, in my mind, for the last time, had a rollover budget year for YUBA, and I look forward to trying to put more of the train behind the things that we're trying to do as an institution. The last is that while we have put in motion our external campus facelift, it's time to look indoors. And one of the first places we're going to look is the places where students learn and teachers teach, and that is to renovate some of our classrooms. We did have a meeting in August where we used program review data to start taking a look at what classrooms might need to be renovated. We also had a student employment project where they cataloged photos and information about all of our classrooms. All of that data was provided to our instructional deans who are going to work with their faculty to put together their division's initial list. We'll use that then to create a first draft comprehensive list. We've got some guiding principles about that list that include things like how many students are in there, how long it's been since that classroom has been renovated, the impact that it makes to the program, et cetera. That draft comprehensive list will then go through College Council for feedback so that we can make sure that when we make the decisions about what renovations we're able to do with the funds available, that it's one that's made well by ensuring we have diversity of input. At our October YuZoom, we are going to be recognizing some employees. So if you have an opportunity, please do plan to join us. As you all know, in the spring, we get from students nominations for things like our Way to Go awards, and we are looking forward to recognizing those in October. I'd also like to ask you to save the date for May 6th in the afternoon, pending what's going to happen with COVID. We hope to have an in-person award ceremony like we used to have pre-COVID, and we're currently marking our calendars for May 6th to do that as a group. more details to come on that. A brief update for you on COVID and vaccines and testing. So as you all should know, the Board of Trustees are going to be reviewing a recommendation and considering a vaccine mandate for our district for both employees and for students. So if you would like to hear that discussion, then I would encourage you to make sure that you mark your calendars and join us. It is important to me to mention to you because we have a lot of safety protocols and ideas that have been suggested throughout the last 8 or 9 months. Public health officials have been very clear that the #1 thing we can do to prevent the spread of COVID-19 is to encourage vaccination. So I think this is going to be a really important discussion for the safety of our employees and our students moving forward. I will also mention to you that we are working with the Yuba Sutter Public Health Office to potentially serve as a testing site. Right now, they are working on a contract to have a vendor that would provide that COVID-19 testing. We will continue to partner with them on vaccination clinics as well. We need to meet with our labor partners to make sure that they understand what those plans would be. But in order to do that, we have to have a really good idea of what the vendor will be doing for testing. So there's a lot of conversations to come. I did want to let you know that there is the potential we'll be moving forward in serving as a testing site. And the last thing I want to mention is certainly in the last 1.5 years or so with COVID, we've really struggled as enrollment has been a huge challenge. And while I'm not going to say that we have a huge victory, I just want to say that our enrollment really actually looks pretty good. We're seeing a lot of our partners in the area, other community colleges, continuing to see some really challenging declines. But Yuba College specifically has done quite well. We're looking a little more flat than we are down. And so I don't want to say that the enrollment challenges are over, but I do think it's really important to take a few minutes to say the things that we are doing are bringing students back, and we are seeing a positive trend. I'm hopeful we'll continue to work toward a more positive trend so that we can recover enrollment-wise from what are largely the impacts of COVID-19. But I want to say, thank you and congratulations to all of you who have really been working incredibly hard to get students into classrooms and to fill our classes as much as we can. So some praise headed your way. With that, I want to introduce our partner from the district, Dr. Sonia Lolland, who is here to give us a strategic plan update. Sonia?
Oh, thank you, Tani. It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you and to share our draft district strategic plan. So next slide, please. So I have a lot of slides, but I promise to go through them quickly, and I understand you'll be receiving this slide deck, so you'll have the opportunity to see this. And the draft plan is also posted on our district website under our strategic planning page. So as many of you know, we undertook the update of our district strategic plan last year, and it has been many years since that was updated, so it definitely needed to be totally revamped and overhauled. And as part of that process, our district DC3 and DCAS committee approved a new integrated planning model, and this is that. So you can see the district strategic plan is kind of that overarching document that guides all of our other planning efforts. And so all of our planning documents need to align to the new strategic plan work. And so the EMP that you guys are kicking off this year will be guided by this overarching document. So next slide, please. So what's in our strategic plan? It's really a slim document, and it really is intended to be that overarching planning document. So it contains our district mission statement, our district vision statement, our values, and our goals. So again, our mission really describes what we do. Our vision is where we want to go as a district, and our core values really articulate who we are. So next slide, please. So this is our draft district mission and we spent a lot of time before we dove into this work to really articulate what's the difference between a district mission and a college mission. And we didn't have clarity around that. So DC3 spent a lot of time kind of figuring out what the differences is, because the colleges have their missions and then the district has a mission. So we decided and came to the conclusion that the district mission is really articulating that greater mission, the overarching institutional purpose for our entire district. So it defines our aspirational goal of our organization, articulates what our competitive advantage is, and provides direction to all of us in the district. The college mission is a little bit more specific. It describes the college's specific broad educational purposes and is intended to describe the degrees, certificate it offers, our student population that we're targeting, and our commitment to student learning and student achievement. So that one is really defined by the ACCJC. Next slide, please. So this work has been intensive. We kicked it off last fall, and I want to thank everybody who's been engaged in it. We've been really busy all last year. We started out by gathering tons of data. We formed a writing teams, and we had community forums across the district, and we also did a lot of flex workshops. So thank you for everybody who participated in this work. Next slide, please. We're getting close to getting this plan approved. I'm presenting today, I think, hopefully our final draft. We took the draft to the board, got some feedback in July, and this is the latest and greatest version of it that we are planning to take forward to the board in November. Next slide. So huge thank you to everybody who chaired and served on writing teams. You can see there are a lot of people involved in this process, and I want to thank everybody who gave tons of great feedback via surveys as well. So we had amazing feedback from students and the college community, and I'm just really appreciative of everybody taking the time to do that. Next slide. So this is what we've come up with. So this is our draft updated district mission statement. And so Yuba Community College District provides all individuals in our diverse communities access to high quality, affordable higher education that is responsive to student needs. Our mission is to inspire and advocate for student success through our passion and commitment to teaching, learning, and social justice. And our vision is to empower our students and strengthen our communities by providing equitable, student-centered learning opportunities. Next slide, please. I really want to commend the values team. They identified values as well as defined them. And our previous strategic plan had values, but they weren't defined. And so I think this is a huge step forward. So they've identified equity-minded, holistic support, data-informed decision-making, workforce and economic development, accountability. Next slide, please. Community-oriented, communication, social justice, and intellectual diversity as key values for our institution. And finally, moving on, next slide, to our goals. And so we've identified 7 overarching goals. This goal came forward from our previous plan. It's focused on student success and ties to the vision for success. Next slide, please. This goal states that we'll foster diversity, equity, and inclusion by providing support structures, access, as well as reviewing our current processes to ensure equitable outcomes. And the goals group identified sub-priorities that tie into this goal. Next slide. We also are really focused on continuously improving our integrated planning and institutional effectiveness within a collaborative culture of evidence. So that's our goal number 3. Goal number 4, refine standards, processes, roles, and responsibilities to be more collaborative and efficient as a multi-college district. And so we did have a similar goal in our previous plan, but this is really taking us to the next level. Next slide. Number 5, integrate strategic foresight into our planning. So this goal really gets us as an institution changing our culture to really be more forward thinking and to anticipate rather than be reactive. Next slide, please. We also articulated that we want to offer safe, reliable, and welcoming environments and provide services that contribute to a safety net for students and our college communities. And our final goal is 7. And this is our commitment to partnerships and relationships and being really engaged and focused on the communities we serve. So thank you so much to everybody who worked on this. This was a huge lift, especially in a time of COVID. And I just want to, again, thank everybody for your commitment to this work, because I think we're really close to being done. So with that, it's my absolute pleasure to turn it over to Dr. Carla Tweed.
Thank you, Sonia, and thank you for all the work you've done on that. Hi, everyone. It's good to see you 3 weeks in, and we're doing well. I just want to comment on some of the enrollment that Tani talked about earlier and go over kind of where we've landed so far. For our fall classes, we ended up canceling 164 sections. A lot of those seem to have been face-to-face, where we had a partner of online that they just weren't enrolling. We did keep several face-to-face for students who needed that, and they were a little bit lower enrolled, but we still wanted to be able to provide for the students that needed that. So we ended up with 248 face-to-face sections, and online we had 355. So that ended up being about 41%. Our face-to-face with 59 online. I know we had a target when we were going into fall for 50-50. I thought we were way below that, but after 2 weeks, we pulled the data and this is where we ended up landing. With that being said, because we have so many face-to-face classes and we do have a rise in the COVID cases, I want to bring up the tip sheet that kind of went out to everybody in regards to having a seating chart. It is really important. I don't think we realized how important it was until some of the traditional classes came back face-to-face, because when we were face-to-face before, it was the cohorted model with public safety and allied health. So if somebody became infected, we knew who to contact if they were in close proximity, things of that nature, doing the contact tracing. With with some of the traditional, traditional classes, not cohorted classes coming in, if we have a seating chart, it would be much easier in order to do some of that contact tracing behind the scenes. So again, it's a tip, a strong recommendation, and please do a seating chart if at all possible, if you have a face-to-face class. That way we can help with contact tracing. Also remind your students and everyone when you're walking around, facial coverings. And also when your students are coming in, do the symptoms check. Does everybody feel good? If they're distributing any, illnesses, please have them leave. Also, again, reminder, please give grace to our students and to each other. We're still in turmoil. Things are always changing. Hopefully you have things set up, if you do have a face-to-face class, where they can stay up on their assignments, through Canvas or some other means, and that you are supporting our students because they are trying to get their education as well. One thing that I didn't have on here, but what I have started doing, I've gone to, I think, athletics, and I think I've gone to public safety, their department meetings. I'm trying to hit all of the different division meetings and department meetings just to say hi to everyone, and also give you my timeline, or our timeline, and how we do the schedule and the tools that we are using, so that you can hold your dean accountable, you can hold me accountable, and we can be transparent with how we are developing the schedule and the whys we do and the hows we do and all of those things. I will be sending out an email later tonight, that will give that timeline of expectations for summer and fall of 2022. Typically, this is something that I would send out to just the deans and the directors, but I'm going to send it out to all of the faculty this time, so that faculty are aware of those timelines and you can see ahead of time how we're developing. And with that, I believe I am turning it over to Dr. Dalix Hunt.
So students, welcome back everyone for our first YuZoom. Good to see you. Just so I have a few slides here. When the student services operation hours, Monday through Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Fridays, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Those hours are also reflective at Sutter Center as well. So students are able to come in for face-to-face or in-person, I should say, in-person services. We also have online hours that we are providing support for students as well. And if you go to our website, of course, there is a link where students can access and visit the various areas and speak to the different departments. If you know of new students who are looking to just navigate the system and this is their first time and so forth, they can certainly click on the one-stop registration. And we have student workers as well as staff monitoring that particular link and able to communicate and speak with students while we're open. Next slide. So in the COVID, there's a protocol for faculty and staff when student discloses they are experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. Now, this is, steps 1 through 6 really goes through what faculty or staff would do when a student discloses. Usually you will thank a student for coming forward and acknowledging the fact that they said that they're having symptoms or the fact that they are indeed COVID positive. What then happens is with steps 2 and 3 is really just find out a little bit of information. For example, is the student feeling okay? If they're feeling well, and being able to refer them to our particular protocols of various services that's on our website if they don't have a medical provider. We also, when you're gathering general information, sometimes a student will say, well, they've been sick for a little bit, for a couple of days or so forth. But I will tell you that when it comes to the protocol, really, the most important part of this is notifying your supervisor and getting in touch with me. And from then on, I then do the communications with you and with the faculty and staff, and inform them the various steps regarding the protocol, and as far as if a student should quarantine or so forth. All that would happen with my office. We don't make decisions as far as a class cancellation or so forth. That is made in discussion with your director, your dean, and the executive vice president. So, but when it comes to the individual, as far as what's happening with the student, where they're impacted, so forth, or if they've had close contact, anything that's related to make sure that the student can get the support that they need, that we can communicate when the student needs to self-isolate, and communicate to those who are directly impacted. And just because you have a room full of folks, there's certain guidelines, and we always find out and deal with these cases often enough to know that not every situation is exactly the same. And so we tend to make sure that we talk it through. We asked some level questions. We also completed a particular survey that we send to students where we're able to collect additional data and information. And then from then on, we can communicate to them what is their quarantine period of time. Anywhere between sometimes the student is fully vaccinated and without symptoms. And this is another plug to make sure that folks are getting vaccinated, and they wouldn't necessarily have to quarantine. But you then have students who are, let's say, maybe they've taken one shot and then they're not fully vaccinated, but they will still have to quarantine because they only have the one dose, or it hasn't been 2 weeks since their second dose of the Pfizer or Moderna, or the first dose of J&J. So these are just a few examples and scenarios where we need to hear this out, where we need to do an inquiry and an interview a few of the students to kind of see what's happening, and then be able to then communicate to them what that period of time is. If you are the one who made the report, if you're the one who reached out, and we tend to keep you informed. What we ask you not to do is let every student in the classroom know, or communicate beyond to that student, your supervisor, and me. So it is to make sure that we're keeping and protecting the rights of the students. their confidentiality, their privacy, but at the same time, we're looking to make sure we're taking care of safety, which is number one. But in order to make sure that we're doing it correctly, we'll ask that you make sure you're communicating with my office, or actually me in particular, when it comes to COVID. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So I would advise really that you check on our COVID protocol. That's on the website, and follow that. But it will lead you to my office, and make sure that you're communicating and reaching out. I guess that would be the number one stressor. Next slide. These are challenging times. And obviously there are students who are dealing with a number of issues, whether it be mental health or just even physical health and well-being. It's, we have virtual care for them, and it's really from anywhere. It's 24/7, where students are able to speak to a primary care provider or a mental health counselor, who will essentially provide that support for them and their dependents. So for example, if you have a student who have a household of few kids or so forth, and their dependents to them, they are covered. So I would suggest, and really, we really are trying to push to make sure that students are aware of this resource, that they are signing up for it, and so they're able to get the help and the support that they need in medical advice. Next slide. And next up, we have Michelle.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to see you all. We are busy as ever here in EOPS, as I know we all are. And just wanted to remind you that we are still accepting applications. So please refer students to our webpage, or here is the QR code here on the slide that you can have students just take a picture of it, and it'll take them right to our application. So, and faculty, if you don't mind giving us a few minutes of your time, maybe we can come into your classrooms or your virtual classrooms to present on our program and get more students to apply, then we would really appreciate it. I'm going to post the email for you to contact us if we can set up a time to do that. We appreciate it. Thank you. And I believe Ish, you're next.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Ismael Ramirez. I'm the temp CalFresh outreach specialist. So for those of you who are unfamiliar and need a refresher on CalFresh, it is a federal program that gives money to students in order to buy groceries, to buy food, healthy food, and all this stuff. And it's a really wonderful program, I truly believe, for college students, because they're studying. And it's just hard for students to sometimes maybe eat healthier or eat good meals, or even eat a meal in general, because some even athletes, they're busy as all working and all that. So I think CalFresh is a really wonderful program. It gives students the resources to be able to afford meals to have food on the table. So I help them with the applications. And I would love to be able to go into some of your classrooms and tell students about this wonderful program, because you'd be surprised how many people I talk to have never heard about CalFresh. And they receive money every month for this program to just use on food. And it's a really wonderful program for college students. So yeah, I'll put my email in the chat box for any faculty that like to just 5 minutes for a presentation in the classroom. So I can just talk to students, get the outreach, get the word out. Next slide, please. And I'm also, I run Dusty's Pantry as well. And for Dusty's Pantry, we are open 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Right by the Welcome Center, right in the 100 building. So and students can get a free meal every week, and they're able to come in and then just get a meal, daily meals, and also family meals for students that have a household. They're able to get one as well. We offer both of those. And if anyone, also we accept donations. We really appreciate donations. Either it could be food or it could be hygienics as well. I'm always willing to do any donations you can. So feel free to contact Annabelle about that. And yeah, and then also fill out those forms if you are planning to donate to Dusty's Pantry. But yeah, open Tuesdays through Thursdays from 10 to 2. So be sure to let your students know about that. And also we can talk to them about CalFresh as well through that way as well. So let me put my email in the chat. And I believe Marcy is next.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy fall semester. We just want to remind everyone that students only need to complete our DSPS application for services and go through our intake process once when they first apply to become DSPS eligible, but they do have to connect with our office each semester thereafter to ask for course-specific accommodations. We're not allowed to reach out to instructors to provide accommodation information unless the student completes a request form asking us to do so. So faculty, we ask that you please consider making an announcement in your courses, reminding students to connect with us if they haven't already. And staff, if you're working with a student who has identified as a student with a disability, please ask if they've made a connection with us this semester. Your assistance helps us to ensure that our students receive the tools they need to achieve their educational goals. And we just want to thank you for your continued collaboration and the effort that you put forth on our students' behalf. We appreciate you all so much. And with that, I introduce Jeremy Brown. Thank you all.
Thank you, Marcy. So I'm going to do a couple of quick updates. If you have more questions about any of these, please feel free to reach out. The first is an ecstatic welcome back to Cassie. Cassie Leal is back as the Institutional Effectiveness Analyst at Yuba College, and she will be working with the different groups that she worked with, and feel free to reach out to her. So next up is program review. The information on which program reviews are comprehensive this year is there on the right-hand side of the screen. We adjusted the program review cycle to make it a 5-year cycle with curriculum committee last year. So everyone up for comprehensive program review this year will do their curriculum updates in the following year. We also will be doing an annual unit update. All of that will be in eLumen. I'm going to say fingers crossed, but we've got Julie Colombo, my co-chair for the SEAC committee. She has been working over the summer to make sure that we get eLumen up and running. We'll be sending more information and holding open office hours to walk you through that. But if you have questions or want to get started, please reach out to me, Julie Colombo, or Cassie Leal. Next up, dashboard training. So we've done some dashboard training. I do want to provide more. Cassie and I spoke this morning about doing some open office hours so that people can just stop in to look at dashboards. I know that Carla, as part of her going around to different departments, is sharing a dashboard that is used for scheduling and course information. We will also be doing more dashboards. We're working on some for AB 705 and guided pathways right now. So more to come on that. Our lead book club had a great kickoff on the Friday of convocation. It was a small but mighty group of us who were able to meet and have some open, honest conversations about our book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. If you are interested in getting involved, we will be talking at our next lead committee meeting about a plan for the year on how to work through the book, different activities that we can create, and then that schedule will be released college-wide. We will be working on a new equity plan. We are required to do this every 3 years, so we are up again, and that will be due at some point between July and October of 2022. So the lead committee will be working on that this year and working it through participatory governance. The Identity and Engagement Center, you're going to get an intro to that in a minute, but we're also going to host a grand opening, September 23rd. Food on campus. I have an update that at the Marysville campus, I believe starting next week, we will have food trucks on campus for a period of time to, from Monday through Thursday, to provide lunch. Students can come buy lunch, faculty, staff can use it. We're going to open it up to Beal, thanks to Joara in the VRC. So we're excited about that. Thank you to Crystal for her work on that, getting it set up. The next thing is the governance work group has been moving forward to get an initial idea of what we can do with our current governance structure. All of that will be open to the entire college as we move forward, but the work group that was identified last year has been meeting. And then Innovation Fund application. I did distribute an email that we are opening the Innovation Fund application process again. Please consider applying. If you have questions about that process, reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. And with that, I'm handing it to Christina Benucci.
Sorry, you'll mute thing. UVA College Tutoring, we are up and running. If you haven't had a chance to stop by, either in person or in Zoom, please come by, say hi to our instructional associates, Riley and Kui at the College Success Center, Stephanie as our IA, Charlene as our library and learning specialist, also helping out with tutoring stuff at Sutter. And then the Writing and Language Development Center, we've got Ron. Our hours of operations are up there. We are offering tutoring Monday through Thursday from 8 to 7, and then on Friday from 8 to 5. During those hours, we are also doing in-person. We are also doing Zoom. What we're asking from you guys is that if you can continue to recommend tutors, we did have to rely a lot on the professional experts and would really like to get our students employed. And then recommend your students to tutoring. Let them know that we are here and that we're here to help them. Please invite us into your classes. Any of the instructional associates are more than willing to come by. A number of the English classes, thank you. You guys have come by and taken tours of the center. But if you're on campus, please feel free to bring your students in so that they know where we're located. If you are a part-time instructor, you're more than willing or more than welcome to hold your office hours in one of the centers. And then last, we ask that you share our information. The slide deck will have a link to it, and I will also post a flyer that you can share with your students in the chat. And I am going to turn it over to the Identity and Engagement Center.
Hi, I'm Carlos.
Hi, I'm Maria.
And we are
the
Equity Ambassadors.
We're the Identity Engagement Center, which is in room 309 inside the cafeteria. We've been working over the summer to get it set up and excited to announce the grand opening, which will take place on September 23rd on Thursday.
The Identity and Engagement Center will be the hub for the Cultural Heritage Calendar, which is pending approval from Leadership, Achievement, Equity, and Diversity Committee. Through the center, we will be hosting a variety of activities to celebrate months, weeks, and days of significance. We are thrilled to offer some amazing events and will highlight the importance of identity and engaging opportunities for employees and students.
The first Heritage Month that we'll be celebrating is National Latin Heritage Month. This will begin on September 15th and continue through October 15th. In recognition of the goals of Latin heritage, last year we featured an employee spotlight for our Cultural Heritage Month. We look forward to displaying the YC proud of our Latinx employees and we're during the Cultural Heritage Month this year.
Keep an eye out for the National Latinx Heritage Month, including the return of Rotalia. We invite you to stop by the Identity and Engagement Center, bring your students, check us out, and host an event. We are looking forward to seeing you. Next is Academic Senate President Christoph Knopfsinger.
Good afternoon and welcome back. I just wanted to remind everyone that the Academic Senate meets weekly on Thursdays from noon to 1, currently still on Zoom. The agendas and Zoom links are available on board docs. I also send an email with those links every week. This week, we will be finalizing our goals for the year. Everyone is welcome to attend and contribute to our discussions. That's all I have. So now it's my pleasure to turn it over to David Willis from M&O.
Thank you, Chris. And thank you everyone for giving me a few minutes. I'll just give you a brief update of some of the projects at Yuba College. The painting project is underway, and as you can see, there's been some accomplishment in this area. We have 2 contractors doing this work. Both contractors continue to struggle with getting enough material on site. You may not know, but there's nationwide shortage for coatings. And we are reaching out across the country to see if we can find any coatings in warehouses within our suppliers. So we continue to work that pretty hard. And currently now also some of the coatings take specialized equipment. And we just yesterday received the last sprayer that we were waiting on. So the work will continue. We're expecting it to be delayed on the completion date until sometime early November, and that could be sooner depending on when we can get material. So the next buildings that will get coated will be building 700, 600, 800, and 300. We have another contractor working on 100, 8B, and 200, and that contractor's run out of material. So I was just talking with a supplier today, and he's sending some material from Ohio that he was able to find. So we'll wait for that to arrive and get another update later. The paint, I wanted to reach out and thank everyone that's been involved in this project. It's been a really wonderful project for the college, and will certainly make a huge difference. I want to also give kudos and recognition to President Dotson and to Jeremy and Brian Epp that have worked very hard on this project, and certainly M&O staff that have coordinated around the contractor's work to clean anything debris that might be tracking in the buildings. Now, certainly this is a big project, and we've made a lot of success and progress toward completion, with building 400 being nearly completed with just a few punch list items. So that we'll be ready for the mural to be applied to the north surface of that curved wall. And we've made a lot of progress on 500, it's nearly completed. So there's been a lot of progress. 1,600 buildings are completed. The 1,700 building complex is completed. We did some painting behind building 2,200. And we also completed the minor work on 1,400 building, maintenance building, and we did paint the police building already. And so and we've also done some painting work out at the sports facilities, the baseball field, dugouts, and some of their buildings, and also some of the other features in the sports field. So there's been a lot of work that's been completed, and we still have a lot of work to do. So I want to thank you, each one of you, for bearing with us, and as we continue this work. I'll move to the next project we've got. It's building removals. And I'm happy to say that building 1021, 1022, 1900, 1250, 51 have been removed, and we're just cleaning up the sites, and that landscaping repair will continue for a little while. Building 13 and 1500 is now underway. We've hired a contractor. We've completed all the environmental requirements for environmental study and impact and public notice period, and all the posting requirements, and it's all been completed. And so this week we're starting to do some of the initial work on 13 and 1500. And then that work will continue for about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks. And then there'll just be a smooth area of ground out there. And then we'll have a follow-up project to add grass and irrigation. So that will look like a park from the bus terminal. And students' impression when they both leave the campus and when they first come to the campus will be that we have a wonderful campus, park-like setting with view lanes into various locations to improve wayfinding. So that's going to be a real big improvement. I want to thank also President Dotson and Vice President Tweed, Brian Epp, and others that have helped on this project. to store some of the materials that we had in the photo lab area, and then just Brian to quite stellar work to have movers come and empty it out. And then we've also completed all the hazardous material removal and prepared the buildings for demolition. The next list of items, we've got building removal. Again, we talked about that a little bit. Certainly, I think I've covered all those other items. Completion on the building removal is again by early November. So are there any questions on these items? I guess next we do have a general question and answer period. Let me check chat. And there's a question that from Maurice, have you thought about drought tolerant landscaping, a pollinator, native plants? Yes, and we're considering that also for those thoughts for a broader landscape improvement strategy for the campus. So thank you for your comments, and certainly as we continue to develop the strategy, we'll be using native plants that are drought tolerant, and we'll be looking at xeriscape opportunities and for low water use improvements on campus. So I'll hand it off to, I believe, President Dotson and Jeremy for general discussion, Q&A.
Yes, thank you, David. So that opens us up for questions. You can still use the chat, or if you want to unmute and ask your question, feel free. Or if you don't have any questions, I guess we can call it a short, brief end to the day.
Well, I want to just share with everybody how great it was to see you all again. We are looking forward to trying to do some of the community building we were able to do in our YuZoom sessions last year. You might remember that we shared hot cocoa together. We had an opportunity for somebody to come and teach us some chair stretches. I think there's going to be great opportunities to continue to do that this year, but this is our monthly opportunity to try and cover all the updates we can with as many employees as possible. So I appreciate those of you who joined us. We will include both the slides and the recording in an email after the meeting for those who weren't able to join us. And if you do have any suggestions or additions to future agendas, please don't hesitate to reach out.
A couple questions came in the chat. Denise, were you talking about the next district meeting being the board meeting?
No, the you know how we have the monthly district meeting on Zoom that we had last year.
Yep, I think that they had looked at scheduling one at the beginning of October. I'm trying to get my calendar to cooperate here. I see that one is scheduled for the first Monday in November, November 1st.
Sonia's trying to get unmuted.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to unmute and I was having technical difficulties, but we do have one. I'm so glad you asked. We have one in September, Monday, September 13th at 4 p.m.
And then Maris wanted to know if the discussion on the vaccine mandate will be at the September 9th board meeting.
Yes.
And I just want to add, it's going to be in the special session. So if you're interested in that topic, be sure to go to the special session